So in the last video, I kind of gave a brief introduction to cognitive science as I see it. And this time, I wanted to talk a little bit about enactivism. Um, but first, I wanted to make not necessarily a correction, but just when I watched the video I gave last time, I noticed myself saying that the final frontier was the mind, and that to find the kind of truth that's going to matter to us, we have to increase the depth of understanding by introspection and by turning to ourselves and understanding ourselves. And I want to not disagree with that necessarily, but just qualify it by saying that intersubjectivity is also important. And what I mean by that is communication. And it's not just any kind of conversation that we have with people. It's the kind of conversations where you're really communicating. You're not thinking about what you're going to be saying before you say it, because whenever you do that, you're automatically prejudging not only the situation, but the person that you're going to be encountering. You're objectifying what you see in them and how you should respond to them. And you're thinking about all of this, building models and planning it out before it's even happened. And intersubjectivity can happen when that's the background to the encounter of the people that are going to communicate. The communication needs to be spontaneous. It needs to arise in that moment, in that conversation, without any preparation or mediation. No self-consciousness. Self-consciousness is egotistical consciousness, so you're always thinking back upon yourself before you think of anything else. So, yeah, I just wanted to make that caveat that intersubjectivity is important, and by saying that we need to turn inward into ourselves, I don't necessarily mean that we need to ignore others. So with that said, let's get to trying to introduce some enactivism. I'm going to pull up a website here to help me do this. As I said before, enactivism is really trying to get rid of this Cartesian framework, this dualism between mind and matter that is so prevalent throughout the rest of the Western scientific tradition. And it really comes to a fore. The mechanistic worldview itself really comes to a fore in representationalism and in the traditional versions of cognitive science, in the language of thought theories, and in the artificial intelligence paradigm, where the brain is an input-output box. And in between the input and the output, there's not necessarily anything going on. There's no consciousness. There's no inner experience. And what that's basically doing is reducing everything that exists to a surface that you can see with your physical eyes, through sensory empiricism. You can see it. It's out there in the world. That's all there is. There's nothing beyond appearance. There's nothing beyond surfaces. And Noam Chomsky was always a big critic of the schools of behaviorism in psychology, because he thought that they ignored all the stuff that went on in this box upstairs, in the black box, the brain and the mind. And Chomsky, of course, created this logical structure that exists behind the languages of all human cultures. And so he said, look, this is the syntax of the mind, and this is what's going on in that black box, and we can pay attention to this and stop just paying attention to the outside bodily behaviors, and then trying to make inferences to the motivations based on that. No, we can look inside the machine and we can see what? Well, see the symbols and the forms, the structures that are inside that physical structure itself, the brain, and we can see what they're doing. We can see how they're connected. And so the basic idea for that type of cognitive science, for it's basically representationalism. The mind is nothing but these exterior connections between neurons and stuff. And there's no inner life. Life becomes this superstitious word that they don't even want to use anymore. I went to a symposium with Marvin Minsky, and he is not totally classical representationalist, but he still thinks that the mind can be reduced to discrete functions, programs, so basically symbols of some kind. So he's still in that fundamental paradigm of thinking of the brain as a collection of forms or structures, basic symbols. There were a few people from the humanities department came. This was given by the engineering department at my university, and so it's mostly engineering students, mostly computer science students, but a few of the humanities faculty members showed up. Like from probably some English, some philosophy. So they have this. Well, okay, and during the question session, one of the a humanity professor, I don't remember her name. She asked what Minsky thought of consciousness, and what does it mean for something to be alive? And then Minsky didn't really want to give an answer at first, and she started basically trying to defend this inner experience in a very passionate way, and she got very involved, and a lot of people there were getting uncomfortable because she was really putting herself out there emotionally to defend the notion of life, and that to be alive has this meaning that can't be reduced to some abstract formula or program set or something. And she was fighting passionately to protect that, and it was a very interesting scene, and it's very telling. Anyways, I was supposed to be getting to a website here to introduce some key features of enactivism. So let me find it here. Let's see. Probably be here. So enactivism is this theory that came out of a book written in 1991 by Francisco Varela and Evan Thompson and Eleanor Roche. And they start out by giving a phenomenological explanation of what it actually means to exist, because we think of existence behind layers and layers of cultural taboos and mediations. The way cultures construct their worlds, it's not always a truth-based process, the way we cover the realities of the life world. And this is really what phenomenology is all about, trying to get rid of this distinction between the objective world and my experience, between primary and secondary qualities, between mind and body, or mind and matter. I mean, phenomenology is trying to fix what seems to be the central flaw in all of Western philosophy. The one thing that kept it going the whole time was this incompatibility, this duality, because the duality could never be quite brought together. I mean, Hegel tried to bring it together, and Kierkegaard said, "Fuck you, you didn't even come close. You forgot about me. You forgot about my inner experience." And I'm going to have to start another video to really get into the nuts and bolts of enactivism.